Hi there, I'm Dr. John Filippini, and I'm a chiropractor and I specialize in functional medicine. What that means is I'm used to taking on more difficult metabolic cases like diabetics, thyroid disorders, autoimmune disease, digestive disorders. But because of the type of patients that we attract to our office here, I don't use any drugs. We're not going to use any stimulants or hormones, but everything we're going to do today is teach you about your health and how to do this naturally. So instead of using drugs and everything like that, we're going to talk about the natural approach to this that we're going to explain. But the first thing I'm going to do today is talk about the science of weight loss. I want you to understand how this science can be applied to essentially any kind of a weight loss program. But then we're going to show you and take this science now and show you how to apply it to the diet that we've been using to get the great results that we're getting. And just so you can get an idea of what to expect with our program, our typical patient will lose about 10% of their body weight every 6 to 8 weeks, giving us about 70 to 80% compliance. So I admit that's not a lot. That gives you a cheat day every week or so. But the ones that are really strict, my women patients can drop up to about a half a pound of fat per day, and the men closer to a pound of fat per day. So it just really depends on how strict you want to be and how fast you want to go with this, but we're going to get those results for you. Now, let's talk about the things that really we don't like to use in here, and because you can use almost any kind of a diet to take this weight off. You can, buy shakes over at Walmart if you can handle the diarrhea every day. But the thing is, it's just not sustainable. I don't like using any of the semaglutides, things like Wegovy and Ozempic, because there's so many side effects that we're seeing with the patients. And these are things that I've heard about patients that have seen their friends and going through. I've had a couple that just went blind taking them. It shuts down their digestion, so their gastric motility is lost even when they stop taking them. Probably one of the biggest noticeable effects that I've seen with our patients, most obviously with the women, is that up to about 30% of the weight loss can be through your muscle. And when you're a female, you don't have the testosterone to rebuild that muscle, so it can be permanent. And your muscle is your fire, your burning mechanism to burn off that fat. So once you stop taking those medications, we typically see a rebound effect with the weight all gained back and then some, because you don't have the muscle to burn those calories off. And unfortunately, we only see the effect, a positive effect with these medications in about 50% of the population. The other 50%, it doesn't even help. So, those are things. You can also use bars and shakes and drinks and all that stuff, which are fine, for a short-term duration. But the thing is, you're going to have to stay on those for the rest of your life, which is great for the guys that are selling the products. But for you that have to keep buying them just to keep that weight where you want, that's not such a good idea here. So let's get started and let me explain how we take this weight off of our patients here. But what we do is we balance out the hormones that regulate your hunger, your energy, and your weight. And we're going to do that with some polypeptide chains of amino acids. Now, what these are the building blocks for the hormones that we're going to be trying to regulate. And the hormones that we're going after, the first two anyway, are produced in the pancreas. And these are insulin and glucagon. So let's talk about how these work. First of all, anytime you eat sugar, fats, carbs, anything like that, your blood sugar is going to go up. Well, now this is very inflammatory to your tissues. It damages your nerves, your arteries, your kidneys, your eyes, your cartilage, which is, why so many diabetics have problems with all these things. They end up getting their feet amputated, going on kidney dialysis. They end up going blind. They get arthritis in all their joints and everything. So this is something that we definitely need to address, because your body doesn't want that sugar in your blood. So that's what it wants to do. It's the first thing, and a priority is to get that sugar out of your blood and into the cells, which is insulin's role. Insulin's like the key to the cells. It opens them up, then the sugar goes in, your energy goes up, and then your blood sugar drops. Now, once your blood sugar drops low enough, this activates a second hormone called glucagon. Now, the way I remember that back from my college days, if you think of the word glucose, but it's all gone, it's glucagon. There's no more blood sugar. And that's exactly how that hormone works. Now it turns on the fat and starts to go after that to break down that fat and make it available for your energy. That's where the weight loss comes. But as long as your blood sugar and your insulin are floating around up here, that glucagon is going to stay down in the basement. So it's very difficult for you to lose weight. Now, another hormone we're going to regulate is one that controls your hunger. Now, this comes from a hormone produced by your fat cells called leptin. Now, leptin has a direct communication with your brain, and it tells us when you have enough fat stored. So when the brain gets that message, what it's supposed to do is turn down the appetite. So you just don't feel like eating so much. Now, the problems with hormones, as you might have noticed, is they stop working. Because if that hormone worked with the leptin, and the fatter you got, the less you'd want to eat. But it just doesn't work that way. And the reason for this is when hormones stay in circulation for an extended period of time, all your cells begin to lose their sensitivity to it. Because all the cells in your body are designed with these little receptor sites where the hormones come and attach there to deliver their message. But once they do, you excrete that hormone through your urine or feces. But if that hormone stays in circulation, it's going to hang around and keep clogging up these receptor sites. So now the cells begin to ignore it like background noise. And just, and that's what we refer to as insulin resistance or leptin resistance. So that's the first thing we're going to talk about, how we're going to overcome that. And the way we do that is we get you started on a little bit of an appetite suppressant. And one of the main ingredients in this is chromium picolinate. Now, chromium happens to be the #1 cofactor for insulin, and that means it makes it work better or work faster. So if you can imagine all these insulin-resistant cells floating around in your body, but they have these rusty locks on them so that insulin just can't penetrate very well. Well, that chromium comes along like a WD-40 for that insulin, so we can slip it in there much quicker and then lower it down and then activate that glucagon so we can start burning off that fat for you here and get that weight loss coming off the way you're wanting it to. And by the way, this is a very safe product they've been using since the 1980s. In fact, a lot of the bodybuilders will use this as they're going through bodybuilding competition, because what it does is beefs up your metabolism to start burning off the fats and the carbs, gives you more energy, but it's not the kind that gives you the shakes or keeps you awake at night. It's like waking up from a good night's rest and just feeling rested and ready for the day. But essentially what we're going to be doing here is taking a slower running metabolism, like taking an old beat up pickup truck to get it to work more like a high performance race car. And that's what we're going to be doing with you here. So now what we're going to do though, to make this very specific to you, and this is where the science really comes into play, is we're going to do some genetic testing. Now this is how we find out how God has built your body to handle things like your fats, your proteins, and your carbs, because everybody's a little bit different here. And once we find out how your body best runs on what kind of fuel, we're going to be able to modify your diet and make this so much more effective and easy for you. Now, we're also going to test to see how your body assimilates its vitamins. Are you able to produce and absorb your A, B, C, D, and E vitamins? Because they all play a role in your health, but just as importantly, in your metabolism. For example, low vitamin D can cause weight gain. And if it gets too low, it can even trigger things like diabetes. So those are things we want to find out. So at least I can warn you and say, hey, you better keep these wheels greased so it doesn't interfere with your metabolism. Now, we're also going to test to see how your body responds to exercise. And by the way, exercise is not required in this diet to lose the weight here. But I know a lot of you are wanting to get in shape, and we're going to want to tone those muscles up here. So these genetics are going to show us what's going to be the best form of exercise to burn the fat off, to help you lose weight faster. Is it going to be more cardio, maybe a little bit of strength training? We'll see how exercise will affect your cholesterol rates, how it's going to affect your blood sugar regulation. We're going to test you for things like gluten and dairy sensitivity. And I tell you, if those are positive, that can be huge when you're trying to lose weight. But we'll see how fast or slow your brain gets the messages when you're full, how fast or slow your metabolism is designed to run. Just a lot of great genetic information that what we do is use all this information to build a foundation. So now the whole program becomes centered around you instead of trying to put you into a cookie cutter recipe. And I'm telling you, if you're wanting to get down to a lower weight and keep it off and understand how your body works, this is an ideal tool to have, because it's like getting the owner's manual to your own body. You're going to know exactly what to do to make this easier for you to keep that weight off. But more importantly, you're going to know what to avoid, so you're not going to keep tripping yourself up. So now I want to talk to you a little bit about the diet and how we're going to apply all this science to the diet that we're talking about here. So I want you to understand what we're talking about here is an anti-inflammatory diet. So if you're suffering with inflammation, brain fog, neurological symptoms, anything that has to do with inflammation, this is going to be beneficial for you here. But what we're going to do is eliminate gluten, dairy, soy, sugar, and alcohol. Now, if you're a drinker, you can get away with 1 or 2 drinks a week. You just can't have a bottle of wine every night to make this work, because that's going to keep spiking your blood sugar levels. And if you do like to drink, and that's something that we can talk about as we get going, yeah, I would encourage you, try to maybe the first couple of weeks on this, try to refrain from it, because I want you to see how fast this weight comes off when you're not spiking that blood sugar level. But if you're wanting to get that alcohol back into your diet, if you're just enjoying having that drink at night, we'll talk about the specific alcohols that are going to have the least impact on your sugar, on your blood sugar levels here. Now, we also want to make sure you understand you can still have fruit on this diet. We just want you to avoid the high glycemic fruits. And there's only 3 of them that I want you to avoid: pineapples, bananas, and grapes. Now, when it comes to your vegetables, I just want you to stay away from the starchy ones: peas, corn, carrots, and potatoes. We also want to keep rice off your plate, because that's another starch that's going to spike your blood sugar levels, and we want to keep your glucose levels nice and even here. Now, if you're a vegetarian, whenever you talk with me, let me know, and I'll send you a vegetarian menu to make this easier for you. But if you're a meat eater, you're going to like this, because if it flies, swims, or walks, you can eat it on this diet. We just want to kind of keep it low fat. So if you like fish, for example, you can have pretty much any kind of fish, including crab, shrimp, and lobster. But there is one that I want you to try to avoid here, and that's salmon. Salmon's a great fat. It has an omega-3, which means it's anti-inflammatory. But during those weight loss phases, we want to be burning off your fat, not that salmon's. And the same thing with a steak. If you like a steak, go for a filet mignon or a New York strip. Just nothing like a ribeye or a tri-tip, because it has too much fat interlaced with it there. But you can have chicken, pork, turkey, ham, lamb. Any of those, we're just going to cut all the fat off or melt it off, and try to keep it 90 to 97% lean. And then we'll be able to make that work for you. So those are the basic guidelines, how we get started here. Now, as we get you started on the diet, the first thing we're going to do in the first 2 days is we're going to stimulate your metabolism to get it to start burning off calories faster than you've been able to do in a long, long time. But to do that, we're going to have to shock your metabolism. So the way we do this is the first 2 days, don't take your appetite suppressants. You need to have a good appetite for this one here. So women, the ones that are going to be doing this diet here, I want you to try to consume about 4,000 calories a day. Guys, you're shooting for 5,000 on this. Because what we're doing here is we're going to trick your metabolism into thinking you're going to have all these calories coming in on a regular basis. So I want you to get all your favorite foods, everything you crave, and just gorge yourself. Make yourself a little sick from it and get it out of your system here. Because then on the 3rd day, that's when we're going to put you on the appetite suppressants. And now we're going to take you into intermittent fasting. And what we're looking for here is about a 16-hour stretch where you're not introducing any calories into your diet. What that does is keeps your blood sugar levels nice and even. You're not going to have any glucose surges and no insulin spikes. So now that chromium and those appetite suppressants that I'd mentioned, that's going to help to start clearing out all that circulating insulin, clearing out the receptor sites of the cells. And that's how we're going to resensitize your body to insulin and get your hormones in balance. So now your body's going to start losing that weight so much easier here for you. And by the way, there are free vegetables that you can eat anytime throughout the day. And those are things like cucumbers, celery, pickles, tomatoes, radishes, salads. And by the way, you can have unlimited salads on this program. And we're going to give you some guidance on the dressings, because you can get them in any of your favorite flavors. But the ones we recommend are all 0 calories. So you can have as much as you want. And I think they taste pretty good. And I use them on my salads all the time. You don't have to worry about counting those calories. Now, ideally, we love to have our patients come in every week so I can weigh and measure you, keep you accountable, and keep you on track. But if you're out of the area, no problem. What we're going to do is set you up with an app for your phone and your computer, and we can do Zoom calls, phone calls, back and forth like this here. But on that app, I'm going to be sending you a lot of videos and a lot of recipes. And this is a big part of how we're going to make this weight loss permanent here, because we want you and your family to start trying out these new recipes. You're going to get a couple of new ones every day and finding out which ones you guys enjoy the most. And now hold on to these, and we're going to create a whole new line of staple foods that are not only going to be delicious and enjoyable, but you and your whole family can enjoy them. And they're low calories. And once we get your genetic testing back in, we can find out if we can add more fats, carbs, proteins, dairy, gluten, whatever your body burns best as fuel. Now, once we get you down to your target goal, then we take you off the drops and we're going to take you into maintenance. And it takes about 30 days for us to kind of reprogram the brain, your habits, and your shrunken tummy. And by the way, your stomach shrinks up considerably on this. So if you're eating on a normal dinner size plate, I'm going to encourage you to downsize to more like a salad plate really quick, because if you try to eat as much then as you do now, you're going to hurt yourself. And that's really what makes this diet so easy. Your stomach shrinks up, your hormones in balance, and you just can't eat as much because you start to hurt if you do. But it just makes it very easy to maintain that weight here. Now, I want to talk to you about a couple of things here that are very important for you, not just on this weight loss program, but anyone. And this is your toxic levels. Now, I want you to understand, and a lot of you have already been trying to lose weight on your own here, and you hit these plateaus when the weight stops going down, and no matter what you're doing, you just can't lose any more weight. So the first thing I wanted to teach you today here is don't beat yourself up for this. This isn't your fault. This is merely a reflection of the toxicity levels in your tissue. You see, in America, we're exposed to over 80,000 toxins today that we weren't like 60 years ago. And this is overwhelming for our liver, which is our detox organ. And when your liver can't pull all these toxins and get it out of your body, it has to store them there, which is mainly done in your fat. So when you start losing weight on any weight loss program, that fat dissolves and releases these toxins back into circulation. Now, the way your body corresponds or relates to that there is it's going to retain water in an attempt to try to dilute the effect. So it's not really you weighing all that extra weight. That's excess water weight. So this is where the scale comes in, because as we get started here, I want you to pay more attention to the tape measure, especially around the waist and the hips, because that's going to come down consistently. But whenever the scale stops going down for 3 days in a row, we're going to put you on an apple day. And what I mean by that is we're going to have you eat 6 medium-sized apples and nothing else except water throughout the day. The next morning you step on the scale, you're going to see your weight drop and the weight loss resumes, almost like magic. And it'll happen every time you do it. Now, the reason this works is apples contain a lot of pectin, and pectin is a natural absorbent for all these toxins and chemicals. So not only are we going to melt that fat off your body, we're going to pull all these toxins out that could potentially cause things like cancer, heart disease, diabetes, who knows what else we'll be able to prevent from that one. But then once we get you down to your target goal, we use that same trick to lock it in and make it permanent, because then every morning we're going to have you weigh, and if that scale ever goes up 2 to 3 pounds above what your target goal is, that's when we put you back on an apple day. And there are some variants for that, like an apple and a steak at lunch and again at dinner. And we're going to teach you about when to use those and all these different ways to keep that coming out of your body here. But I'm telling you, once you've done this for about 30 days, it just kind of reprograms your brain, and your metabolism, your weight just gravitates towards that number here. Then if anything ever happens, let's say you have an injury or go into surgery, or you have another COVID shutdown and you get off your diet and the weight starts going back up, the only thing you ever have to do to get right back where you want to be is you go back on 2 days of the loading, eating all those extra calories for 2 days, and then back onto the reduction phase, usually about 2 to 3 weeks, and it resets it for you. So you're going to have your manual, you'll have all the recipes, you'll have access to these drops the rest of your life. So you'll never have to worry about gaining that weight back again unless you want to. And hopefully once we get you there, you're not going to want to. Now, if you're wanting to put on more muscle and things like that, I'm happy to help you out with that there as well. We have supplements that are going to start to develop your muscles, increase your testosterone production, just a lot of great things that are really going to help you that. So now what we want to do is decide which type of a program is going to be most beneficial for you. So I want to go over some of these programs together, but the first thing I want to do is tell you, please don't make a mistake on this. And you can use this little information I'm about to share when you're looking at purchasing anything, because one of the worst things you can do is buy something that you're not going to use, that is maybe not what you want, and then you end up paying more. So when you're looking at the price and everything of these, don't look at the price, look at the cost. Okay, the price is what you're going to pay for your program or whatever it is the first time, it's all you pay for it, but the cost is what you're going to pay and to keep on going. Like when you buy a new boat, you're going to have to pay for the upkeep, the storage, the docking fees and everything. Those are all your costs involved. So when it comes to choosing a weight loss program, you can go out and you can get some Wegovy and pay anywhere from $3.95 to $12.95 a month here, but you're going to have to stay on that for the rest of your life. You can get on some of these other gummies programs and things like that. You pay $99 a month or whatever. But the thing is, you're paying all that money towards that, and you find out, okay, I wasn't sustainable. It helped for a while. So now you got to go out and buy another program or another program. And so by the time you put all this money and the cost into all these different programs, you've ended up paying several times at what you really wanted, and you never got what you were actually wanting. So when you're taking a look at these programs, choose the one that you want that's going to work for you, the one that's going to give you all the benefits that you need, all the support that you need, and don't cheat yourself by getting something less that you're going to end up paying more for in the long run because it didn't work, and now you're going to need to purchase more. So we have several different programs, and let me start with probably the most inexpensive one, and this is what we call our 30-day detox program. And this is what we really got started in about 14 years ago as we're working with our patients. Now, what we're doing with the detox program is flushing out the liver, the gallbladder, the gut lining, healing any leaky gut, balancing out the pH. And this is a very inexpensive program, and it's only for 30 days. And the goal is not to lose weight on this one, even though our patients will lose usually about 5 to 20 pounds during this, but it's to identify food sensitivities and to start to get your metabolism and your immune system in check. So if you suffered from anything like diabetes, arthritis, autoimmune thyroid problems, even thyroid problems in general, if you're having problems with that, this is always a great first step to do, because we can do this first and then take you into the weight loss program. If we do that, we're not going to have you do the loading where you're eating all those extra calories for that one. Now, we also have some smaller programs, and the smaller programs will start off at like 2 months, and they'll provide everything you get on the larger programs. You're going to get 2 bottles of the amino acid drops. We call them lipotrophic drops, and that's enough to last and keep your blood sugar and your insulin regulated for about 3 months. You also get a bottle of the appetite suppressants, and that lasts about 6 weeks. But once we've resensitized your cells to the insulin, you can stop taking those, because your body's going to take over doing naturally what those drops are doing. Now, on this program, you also get your manual. You get your app, your phone, and your computer, all the communications with me and the staff. We just won't be doing any weekly meetings or Zoom calls with that one. So those are the smaller programs, and those you can extend, at 4 months at a time, and pay that as you go forward like that. And we'll have all the costs listed at the end of this video here for you, so you can refer back to these. Now, we have a more economical program that does the 4 months of the doctor supervision, plus your app, your genetics, all the drops that we mentioned. And that one's a little more advanced. So that one's going to really teach you how to eat, how to start applying all the science, and you're going to work with me on this, and we're going to make sure you understand how to do that. And these programs are great for when you want to lose like 20 to maybe 40 or 50 pounds, and you feel like you don't need a whole lot of ongoing support. And that one doesn't include the genetics testing too. So if you had success managing that weight pretty successfully in the past, that might be a better program for you. But the ones that I've been talking about with the genetics program and everything, that's the one that is our most popular program, and that's the one I really encourage you to do if you're wanting to find some permanent weight loss. And the beauty of this program is, first of all, it's doctor supervised. In fact, all of these weight loss programs are doctor supervised, and that means they're eligible for HSA and FSA accounts. And if you don't know what that is, you probably don't have one. But if you do, they're taking money out of your check, and they set it aside for medications and supplements that are doctor prescribed to you. And so you can save a little bit of taxes for that one. So you can use that for this one. And the other thing about any of these programs, by the way, is if you give us permission on the larger programs, not on the smaller ones, but if you give us permission to use your before and after pictures that you're happy with, we refund $199 of that to you. Now, also on any of the programs, if you decide to do it with a friend or a family member, you can both get an additional 10% discount on that. So it starts to lower those costs a lot better for you. And then as you lose weight as you get going, if you share this with other people about your success, refer them to our office. We'll still give them that 10% discount, and then we'll give you an additional 10% off, and just start sending you refund checks for whatever people that you refer into here. The other thing, and this is the thing that's probably the most exciting part about our genetics program, is for whatever reason you get to the end of the 4 months and you are not where you want to be comfortably with your weight, even if we get you down to where you say you wanted to get to, and you say, oh no, I want to go for another 10 or 20 pounds, we're just going to continue to roll this program over 4 months at a time at no extra charge. The only extra cost would be for additional drops if you even need those. But when we're dealing with any complicated cases, autoimmune disease, thyroid problems, when a patient isn't losing the weight that we would expect, that's where I can get involved with our functional medicine. And we can do anything like lab work, detoxification. We'll find out which organs aren't working properly and show you how to fix them. But we will find out whatever it takes to get you down to that weight you want to be. Just work with us. Let me show you how to do it, and we'll make sure it happens for you. So if you'd like to move forward with any of these programs, just respond to this email or give our office a call, and we'll get that kit right in the mail to you, or you can come into our office and pick it up, and we'll get you started on that journey to a healthy, new, skinny you. Thank you for your time and for listening today. God bless.